You know who got tricked? Our buddy on Instagram who bought 9,000 bottles of it.
That guy loves you.
I told him, I'm like, man, you are making mistakes, man.
Hey, welcome to Super Social Club. I'm Jeremy.
It's Whiskey in the Six, I'm Rob.
Welcome to the Whisky Rant Podcast.
It's a little crusty,
It's frustrating.
and it's going to be a little bit of a rant.
I don't understand it. I don't know why.
Some sort of injustice.
Anyway, end rant.
Hello and welcome back to the Whisky Rant Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Rob.
And tonight we are talking about trick or treat whiskeys. What do we mean by that?
We mean whiskeys that when you open them, they're a real treat. Mm-hmm. You enjoy them. They're worth the money. They're great bang for your buck, tasty, all those fun things. And then the whiskeys that you bought, hoping that were going to be good, but you got tricked.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, you're pleasantly surprised by maybe some with the treat category. And some, you thought they were going to be good, and they were not at all. You got tricked somehow into buying it. Maybe it's a profile that you like that didn't translate to this bottling or whatever it may be, but we got a list of each for, the Halloween spirit. Halloween's coming up soon.
Yeah. And, as you can see, we have a bottle on the table we're revealing off the hop.
What is it?
It's the Tamdhu 18-year-old.
Yes.
Bottled at 46.8%, all sherry cask. The reason I picked this one is because I was pleasantly surprised when I tried this for the first time.
This is number one on your treat category.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably number one on my treat category. I was, like I said, pleasantly surprised when I tried this. Mm-hmm. My buddy poured it for me blind. Some of you guys know the name well, Silent Bob.
Silent Bob, yep.
And this is actually his bottle. He let us borrow for the rant. Poured it blind. I'm like, this kind of tastes like Macallan.
Yeah.
In the 18-year-old range. I'm like, but I know it's not because you could tell there's a little bit more punch to it. The higher ABV. And sure enough, it was this Tamdhu 18 here.
Yeah, and I just took a sip, and that's a perfect way to describe this.
Yeah.
Because it does taste like Macallan 18, but it's a higher ABV.
Yeah.
Right? And it's you get that chocolate orange note, and that's how I determine Macallan if you're drinking it blind. It's does it got that chocolate orange, and does it have that little bit of it's not sulfur, but what is it? It's
yeah, there's maybe a touch of a matchstick kind of note.
Yeah, Macallan has that.
Yeah, a touch of but it's not the off-putting sulfur. It's the matchstick kind of side to the sulfur. Which, you know what, we've never knocked Macallan for the taste. Mm-hmm. We've never done that. We've only ever, which kind of is the segue into my number one trick.
Okay.
Which is the Macallan 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the reason why the Macallan 18-year-old now is a trick for me is because it's just hitting shelves at the LCBO for $800.
Yep.
$800 right now.
Yeah, you for sure get tricked, right? Because a lot of people that don't know about something will just necessitate or they'll think that because of the price, it has to be good.
Yeah.
Right. They'll correlate price with quality or with enjoyment.
Yeah, we all do it.
And it's not true at all.
No,
right?
Especially in the case of Macallan.
Yeah.
For $800, there's a lot of great whiskeys you can buy.
Oh, yeah.
You could buy multiple great whiskeys for that price.
Yeah.
This is a fraction of the price. In Alberta, you're looking at around $220. Mm-hmm. Okay. In Toronto or in Ontario, sorry, it's a little bit more. It's about $270 or something like that at the LCBO.
It's getting up there.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
This is a limited edition. I think there's only 15,000 bottles or 12,000 bottles, something of that sort. But for something that tastes so similar to Macallan 18-year-old,
yeah,
but better in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way better buy. You get 3 of these for the price that you buy a Macallan nowadays.
Just got a little bit of bubblegum note on the finish there that's really, really nice. You can tell that this is well matured and it's got good casks for sure.
I think this would be what Ralphie recently was describing in an Ancnoc 24 video as that quality sherry cask. Mm-hmm. This is not your new classic sherry finish or new style sherry. You can tell that they used a really good sherry cask. It's not super dark by any means.
Yeah.
Or casks anyway. But yeah, you're right about that bubble gum. I just got that on the back end and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks to today's sponsor, Zbiotics.
Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic.
Yeah, it was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking.
Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxin byproduct in your gut.
Yeah, it's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day.
Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down.
It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut is where you need it the most.
Just remember to drink Zbiotics before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow.
Yeah, we've used Zbiotics before. Like we said, we go late filming these episodes. We're sampling whiskeys the entire time.
Often have to work early the next morning.
I gotta get up for work the next morning. You gotta get up for work the next morning. You got kids that are, clamoring at the bit early in the AM.
Yeah.
So, one of these before we do our rant definitely helps in the morning. You wake up refreshed, feeling good. You don't have all of those symptoms that you normally would from a heavy night of drinking.
Yeah, it's definitely worth doing one of these, and you really don't have to worry too much about what you consume later on.
I got a buddy who got really into running marathons. He ran the half marathon in Toronto. It just happened. He was training and drinking Zbiotics. Anytime he was out with his buddies, he's really into baseball playoffs. He was having a couple beers, did this, still was able to get up, train in the morning, did very well in the half marathon. So it definitely works, and check it out.
Yeah.
We have a coupon code, use code RANT at checkout for 15% off your first order. Follow the link down below, and check out Zbiotics. This is a great treat whiskey, because like Tamdhu is not something you like we talk about it and people in the whiskey community talk about it, but like it's not a big brand name. No. Like Tamdhu is not a household name, but you do find some gems in their collection. Like we talked about that single cask we had that one time, phenomenal whiskey.
Yep.
His cask strength single cask. It was out
delicious.
of this world.
Yeah.
Really, really good. But yeah, definitely a treat. You pay a good amount of money for this bottle, but you are rewarded with a really nice sherry, heavily sherry. Like you get a lot of sherry influence in this one for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Macallan was on my trick list. I just said anything Macallan.
Everything Macallan.
Because even those new, stupid coffee ones they have out now. Like what's that series they're doing?
Yeah, the Harmony series.
The Harmony series. It's awful.
It's a joke. There's like the amber and the green.
It's a joke. It's a complete joke. It's a complete trick.
Green Orchard or something.
You know who got tricked? Our buddy on Instagram who bought 9,000 bottles of it.
That guy loves you.
I told him, I'm like, man, you are making mistakes, man. And like bragging about, like, it wasn't like so much that he was buying it. I mean, it's annoying that when someone buys like literally 9,000 bottles of something and you can't get it.
Yeah.
Not that we really wanted it anyway.
Yeah.
But to brag about that and be like, oh, I'm so ahead of the game. Like, you sheep need to catch up to me. Like, I'm so cool. And now, like, you are literally stuck with all these bottles. Like,
Yeah.
I hope you like it, bud. I hope you enjoy that whiskey.
He might be able to get a little bit more than.
I don't think he will lose.
Yeah,
like,
you don't lose on whiskey.
He's not going to lose
in general.
but he's not making the profits he thought he was.
No, he's not getting like your Macallan Edition 1.
That's what he was probably
he was
thinking.
anticipating
right?
that.
He was
and it's
anticipating
not
Macallan
even
Edition 1.
close.
Yeah.
Like Macallan Edition 1 is what, like $6,000 now?
It was crazy.
It's absurd.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's absurd.
But yeah, like Macallan, like they have this new color series that came out. Like that's a complete joke. So yeah, anything Macallan is a trick because of the price.
Yeah. I agree.
Because of the price for sure.
Yeah, because of the price. What was your treat? What was your first
Yeah,
treat?
you know what? You know what I put down for treat? A Knock 24. Ralphie just reviewed it. It is a treat, right? Because like a Knock, another like non-household name that makes really good whiskey.
Yeah.
Their 18's delicious. This 24 is really kind of like the flagship, I think, of their range.
Yep.
Really, really nice stuff. Not too expensive, right?
Right. It's pretty inexpensive, actually.
Like even
it's under $300.
Yeah, I think they had a recent price hike, but it's still good value.
Still good value.
It's still good value. It was crazy value. Like you guys were buying those things for like what, $150?
$180.
$180 Canadian.
Yeah.
Right back in the day.
Yeah, that's crazy. I have a backup of the one his looked a little darker. The one that he reviewed recently.
I think it was a newer bottling. Yeah.
Yeah. His looks a little darker, but Yeah, I'm very curious. Actually, I might go out and grab that new one because I do. I am a little bit of a sherry head sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's mostly sherry.
Mostly
right?
sherry, I believe.
A little bit expert maybe in there as well.
Well, I guess a good segue to yours is I also had a knock on my list.
Yeah.
But it was the 18-year-old.
Okay. Yeah. Another great one.
And the 18-year-old is like it's still like $130, which is a great price for an 18-year-old. I had a few 18-year-olds on my list because of the price that they are, and they're still, despite the whiskey like Scotch guys that know about them, they're still relatively like not out there.
Yeah.
Like a knock 18, right?
Yep.
Like a knock 24. So that would be my treat, my second treat.
Yeah.
Really, really good whiskey. My tricks are whiskeys that I kind of got tricked by early on, and they're the like Glenfiddich 18s, the Glenlivet 18s.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put those together because they're kind of the same kind of beast. Not getting a high ABV, nothing special. The price keeps going up.
That's one thing for sure. Is like the price keeps jumping on those things.
Yeah.
Like in Ontario, you notice it because it happens. Like there was a stretch of like a 3-year stretch where those two whiskeys jumped $20 a month. It seemed like every month, right? They went from like decently affordable for like under $200, and now they're like what, $300? Like they just keep going up. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
They might have been like $120.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I think they were 120.
Right?
They were. Yeah, it was about that. And I used to replace my Glenlivet 18 every time it was finished. Like like I thought I was so cool drinking Glenlivet 18. You know, easy to get tricked when you're younger and new into whiskey and new into Scotch. But that was definitely a trick for me. I would completely avoid those. I would go with the Ancnoc 18, and side by side, I also had the old Pulteney 18 in that category.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Like with the Glenfiddich versus the Glenfiddich and the Glenlivet 18s.
Yeah. There is one whiskey, like when we first decided to do this like trick or treat thing, that really stood out for me as a trick. And I went to it. I was drinking it the other day, and it's the Dalmore cigar malt. That is such a trick of a whiskey because you think it would be good.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's NAS.
Yeah.
It's bottled at 48, but it drinks like it's bottled at 38.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's so thin.
I remember trying that after all the hype that was around it because there was a lot of people in the industry that were like giving it praise. So I tried it and I couldn't believe how sulfured it was.
Really?
I was not a fan.
You picked up a lot of sulfur, right?
I did, yeah. I don't know if it's still like that. Maybe it's settled over the years of being...
Yeah. I mean, my main takeaway when I was drinking the other day is like, it's sweet, it's easy on the palate, and it just drinks way too thin. And like, you would never guess it's 48. And they probably bottled it at 48 because anything less than that is like, you're just drinking
water.
You know, like diet water. It's like, it's just, it's such a disappointment for me. And it could be good, right? And that's a big problem with Dalmore is like, you drink it and you're like, oh man, like this could be good.
So
but
much of Dalmore's like that.
They put so much artificial E150 caramel colorant in those whiskeys.
I can't figure that out.
And they bottle them at low ABVs, and it's like it's so thin, and it's like
so expensive too.
And it's so expensive.
The new the
much
Dalmore
money.
18 hasn't changed. It's still 43%, still added color and everything else. And when I was buying it and I enjoyed it, it was like $150, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's $500 now.
What?
It's $500.
They want to be Macallan.
Yeah.
It's like they want to be Macallan so bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, people definitely get tricked into that because it's another one that we talked about before with Macallan. It's like it's priced high. You think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
It comes in like a cool. I like the bottle. I do like how the bottle looks.
Yeah.
And it's a really dark looking, rich whiskey, and it just doesn't deliver.
Yeah.
So Dalmore might be like next to Macallan, like the number 2 trick whiskey that you could fall into.
Yeah, it's up there. My next one on my list is probably, and I did the broad like brush painting with this one.
Okay.
For the exception of the Wee Beastie and the 10-year-old, which are raising in price as well. But just Ardbeg.
Yeah.
Like, They almost sold me on the Bizarbecue.
Oh my god!
I almost actually bought that. I'm like, well, this kind of looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm a little intrigued. Like, I kind of want to know what's going on here. And they almost got me. I almost was tricked. But just Ardbeg as a whole, their whole marketing, their decisions with their bottles, like I just don't understand what they're doing anymore. Like, I really don't get it. To counter this one, I actually used an Ardbeg because the Ardbeg 10 is still fair value.
Okay.
Yeah, it's getting up there in price in Ontario. You can still get it under $100 in Alberta. You can get it under $100 in the States, and it's still a quality whiskey.
Yeah.
Right. The Ardbeg 10 is going to deliver 9 times out of 10. Right. There's a very rare time where I'll pour an Ardbeg 10 and be like, yeah, I don't want this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't think that's ever happened, actually. So Ardbeg, all their specialty releases, all that crap.
Committee releases.
They can keep it.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
Stick to the 10-year-old.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, the Ardbeg committee releases, ever since Dark Cove, it's just, you've been tricked every single time. And you know what? Like, that punk rock one, I was like, I like this because I used to listen to, like, punk rock music back in the day.
Yeah.
But I would have been tricked into buying that bottle if a whole bunch of, like, crap committee releases didn't precede it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already, we knew.
Right after Dark Cove, you might have bought it.
100% I would have.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think after Dark Cove came, Drum? And I was all over that.
Drum.
I might have even paid secondary prices for that.
The black wasn't bad. The black was okay.
Black.
Was that? Yeah. The black.
Black.
Was that?
It might have been after that, perhaps. It might have been one after Drum. Anyway, Drum, Black, you're right. Those came out after Dark Cove.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, now, like, they have so many. The marketing's got out of control. And, people get tricked into buying those every single time because they built up a reputation with good bottlings.
Yeah.
And now you're getting tricked into buying every single release, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate what's happened to Ardbeg because their fan base was like a hardcore fan base. And they completely went to this, like, almost like that, the run-of-the-mill fan, the fair weather fan. They like, it seemed like they just completely decided to appeal to that fan.
Yeah.
As opposed to their, like, core heart, like, old school fan base that they used to have.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Do you think they were trying to take advantage of, like, some of their fans by blowing up this marketing into their face and dipping quality, like they wouldn't notice or wouldn't care?
It feels that way. It was almost like a distraction from the Ugadal and the Corey because those, like, the Corey and the Ugadal, they've declined in quality, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, don't look at those anymore because we're not going to be putting as good stuff in there anymore ever again.
Yeah.
Start looking at these weird things, and
Right.
then you'll forget about that stuff.
Yeah.
And it seemed to have worked because nobody talks about the Corey or the Oogie anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're right.
So.
Okay, another one for me. Oh, another trick. This is one that we, I think, both had kind of similar experiences with, and that's the Glengoyne 25-year-old.
Yeah.
I think this is a trick whiskey.
Yeah.
Because it looks nice. It's got a great presentation, a great box.
Yep.
Glengoyne is kind of like, it's not a household name like Macallan is, but it's on people's, like, secondary radar, right? Like, Glengoyne does have a good reputation for their bottlings. But this 25-year-old, the way the prices are now, it's like you're going to buy this thinking it's like, a cornerstone in your collection. It's going to sit front and center. You're going to go to it in special pours. But guess what? It's not the best 25-year-old out there.
Yeah.
Especially not for the price.
Yeah. You're right. That's a great point. When I tried, Glengoyne 25-year-old was supposed to be, like, my dream whiskey when I was first getting into, like, the more expensive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got it. And when I opened that bottle, I don't think I've ever been more disappointed from a whiskey in my life.
Really?
Because of all the hype I had for that whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I actually thought it was going to be out of this world.
Yeah.
And based on reviews, like, there were some, like, you could tell when someone's trying to like a whiskey in a review, so they'll be a little bit more generous in the score.
Yeah.
And that was happening a lot with this particular whiskey. And then I tried it myself, and I was like, man, I should have stuck with my gut, because I could tell people were not loving this.
Yep.
And I made the mistake twice, because I bought the newer version hoping that it was just a bad batch, as everybody was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Both batches sucked.
Yeah.
They were just okay.
Yep.
For the price, they were nowhere near worth it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
Your treat.
Okay. I gotta go Gordon MacPhail. I mean, we've been treated to so many good Gordon MacPhails. The ones you got up there, that Glen Scotia 22,
Yeah.
phenomenal pour. What are the ones you have? The Elberfeldy 24.
I have the...
And
yeah, that's phenomenal as well.
And also the
really good.
Colila. That's the one.
Yeah.
How old was that one again?
That one is 23.
23-year-old Colila. So, like, those bottles are very well priced for your age statements at cask strength.
Absolutely.
And blown away by how good those are.
Yeah.
And, like, to mention something that's, like, more on the affordable scale, recently, Kleinle sherry cask matured 11 years.
I think it's 13 years.
13 years. Amazingly good.
Yeah.
Right? For just over $100 a bottle.
Yeah.
Very, very good. We have had really good Gordon MacPhails recently, and like what a treat it's been.
The
drinking
Spey malt
those.
that we had.
Oh, that Macallan Spey malt.
That's one of the best whiskeys I've ever had.
There you go.
Yeah, that was up there with like
And,
that's in like my top 20.
And again, an expensive whiskey, but it's also a cask strength Macallan at 19 years.
Yeah, but I mean like expensive versus. Okay, so it was like what, $450.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, maybe close to $5 at the time. What's a Macallan 21 go for?
Man, Macallan 12 is going to be $400 soon.
Those exceptional sherry casks go for like $3,000.
Yeah,
$4,000.
Oh yeah, if you want something cask strength Macallan with an age statement,
yeah. So
good luck.
Yeah, I've yet to touch a Macallan exceptional sherry cask.
Right.
Because the entry level 12, when they first started coming out, were like $700.
Yeah.
That was the entry level 12.
Right.
So like.
Yeah, and that's a good price, because I'm sure those go on secondary for what, $3,000-$4,000.
It's funny. One of the stores in Alberta originally was getting those, like, and they're like, yeah, hey, I have the 25-year-old if you want it. I'm like, oh yeah, what's the price? $7,000. I'm like, it's okay. I think I'm gonna pass.
$7,000.
Yeah, like what am I gonna do with that?
That's
like,
unreal.
So
yeah,
Gordon MacPhail is incredibly priced.
Yeah, for what you get, it is very well priced.
Yeah. I was gonna go with, for a trick, modern Glendronach.
Okay.
When's the last time you've had a really good Glendronach?
Yeah, back when it was Billy Walker bottling stuff way above its age.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, we had a Grandier that was...
Oh, that's right.
By Emily, whatever her name is. I forget.
It's not Emily, is it?
Is it Emily? Okay, anyway. The new master distiller.
Sorry, yeah. We apologize. We'll put her name here.
We'll put her name. Nothing against her, but I honestly think maybe Billy Walker just, like, used all the great casks and then it's like, peace, I'm out. Like, pretty much that's what happened.
That's true. That Grandier was good, though.
That Grandier was excellent.
That she did. It was good. It was really good.
I think those will always continue to be
We drank
great.
it on this channel.
We did.
We drank it on the podcast.
Yeah. The Grandiers are always good.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, what a drop off from what they used to be. They're just like a shell of themselves.
Yeah.
I think the last really good regular stated whiskey was the 21 the 21 that was actually 27 years old.
Right.
If they stayed true to that, like
the chart.
That chart.
Yeah.
So that's it. Glendronach is definitely a trick for me these days. You can't buy the 12 for less than like $120 at the LCBO.
Wow, really?
It went up so much. It literally doubled in price from the time that I was drinking Glendronach 12 back in the day.
Yeah.
To now at the LCBO. This is like before my Alberta buying times. I was buying $60 Canadian at the LCBO Glendronach 12.
That's a good price. Yeah.
And it was good back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that Glendronach definitely is my trick. And then what's become a pleasant treat for me, and this is probably my last one, but I could probably list off a few more if you want, is Benromach. Everything Benromach.
Great call.
Someone actually had a negative comment about our love for Benromach recently on our recent podcast that we released.
What did they say?
Basically, how can you love them? Their core range is all 43%, blah, 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 whatever. Well, that's actually not true because we know that the cast strength is part of their core range, and it's not 43%, it's cast strength. So that's the first thing. Second is we were actually thoroughly impressed with the Benromach 15, in a tasting of literally monsters.
That's true.
We were thoroughly impressed with Benromach 15.
That's right. We drank a 7-year-old Glengoyne by Gordon MacPhail, and then I think still had appreciation for Benromach 15-year-old after that.
We drank Benromach 15 that day, and there was 30-year-old Gordon MacPhail's, 40-year-old Gordon MacPhail's, and then a 70-year-old Gordon MacPhail.
Yeah.
So it held its own. Obviously, it's you can't compare. It's not fair.
We're not comparing, and we're not really saying it held its own versus those.
No,
what we're saying is
exactly.
we drank them in the same time frame, and we still appreciated it for what
really
it was.
impressed.
And we were like, wow, this is actually really solid.
Yeah, and we both bought a bottle.
And you would think after drinking something insane, nothing else would taste good at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we are the first to avoid purchases of anything below 46%. Let's get that out there.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
We tried the Benromach 15 and both bought a bottle. Both of us.
I bought a couple.
Yeah, you have a couple. I have a bottle over here that I've yet to review, which will be coming soon. But, Benromach had to be on this list for treats for me.
100% great. I'm going to go back to Glendronach for a second because I actually wrote this on my list as a trick and a treat.
Okay.
And I'm referring to their single casks.
Okay.
And another distillery comes to mind when talking about this exact category where it's both good and bad, trick and treat.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Is Glenfarclas.
Yeah.
Glenfarclas family casks
Yeah.
and Glendronach single casks can both be tricks and treats. And it's so hard to know.
It's
very
so hard
difficult to know. The
It's
only
very
way
hard to
that
know.
you can really get through is you can find the odd review, but Whiskey Base is probably your best friend for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
To know for sure.
There's some guys that are they make it their job to get to a Glenfarclas family cask tasting every year.
Yeah.
And they'll give you a pretty accurate description of which ones to go for and which ones to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough because you can definitely buy any of those and love it.
Yeah.
And you can be like, okay, it's good, but it's I was expecting more.
Right.
Right? Because we've had family casks aged from 16, 17, 18 years old that have been better than stuff aged 27, 28 years old.
The other night we had, what was it? A 2003? That was awesome.
Right.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was 17 years old?
Yeah, I think it was 17. Yeah.
17-year-old
16
that's
or 17, something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
One of the better ones we've tried.
Yeah.
I've had a 30-year-old Glenfarclas that I was disappointed in my purchase. And then I've had the 1992 that we first had, that blew me away.
Yeah.
That blew me away. So it's really hard to know which ones to grab.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to go to the core range for Glenfarclas, you probably just want to stick with the 15.
It's the highest ABV, right? Is that right?
It's the highest ABV, but it's also, you could tell they love that one the most.
Yeah.
Because they try harder. Although Ralphie recently did a review on the 15 and kind of trashed it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe it's dipped in quality.
It might have.
I could see that. I got maybe one more of each. I'm just going to quickly say that a trick, not so much a trick just because of the quality or whatever, but the price. And that's the Springbank 30. Super, super expensive. And I think we both agreed that the 25 was better.
Yeah.
Our good friend Serge from Whiskey Fun just reviewed the 30. He scored it lower than the 25.
What did he score it?
I think he scored it, I I'll put it here.
Okay.
I've already scored it, but it was lower than he scored 25s in the past.
Interesting, yeah.
So he agrees with us that the 25 is better.
Yeah.
Bit of a trick there, just for the price.
Why would they, like, I don't like to question Springbank because who the hell am I to question Springbank? But why would they go all bourbon cask on that one? Like, they really shine with their sherry casks. Like, why would you do that?
I mean, I think they would obviously just have more bourbon cask than they do sherry, and if it's that old, they're probably going to put it in some crazy bottling. I mean, I don't know.
That was a super expensive bottle too.
Yeah, but it's like they're putting that in the core range, right? So they're doing 30 in their core range. So like they got to do it, bump it out every year. It's probably going to be a lot of bourbon.
I wonder, like, if they're gonna do it every year, then I trust that they will come out with a banger eventually. Mm-hmm. There's gonna be a 30 that knocks everybody's socks off for sure. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a trick. Although at the end of the day, if you have that kind of money to throw around and you didn't like save up all your pennies to get that whiskey, you're gonna enjoy it. Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it eventually. Like it was very good. Yeah. It just wasn't what we were hoping.
True.
The 28 that we had, the society release was better. We did it side by side.
Yes. Yeah. I got one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I got one more for the treat, and I'll just briefly say it's blended malts in general, specifically, Compass Box, Orchard House, Compass Box, Flaming Heart that we tried. Those were great treats, in my opinion. Well priced, very, very good stuff. And we talk about blended malts being like good value in the marketplace as of right now. Yeah. Those ones.
Got one right over here, actually. There you go. This fancy edition for Flaming Heart that I was actually going to bring in to this to talk about it a little bit. This is really good quality. This has a portion of peat monster in there. Yeah. So I love how they categorize their own blends with their own blends.
I wonder if they were just like drunk in like the sampling room and like knocked over some peat monster and it just got in there and they're like, oh, let's roll with this.
There's a lot of Lafroig in there because there's a lot of Lafroig and peat monster as well. But that's a really good expression. Mm-hmm. And we've had several now. Yeah. Love the Flaming Heart. Yeah. Pretty peated. Mm-hmm. It's up there in peat. The ABV is like 48.9 or something like that. So it's up there in ABV as well. Uh-huh. What I was going to say for my last trick, kind of like taking a page out of your book here, is it's a trick because of the price, but it's a treat for the liquid. Okay. Do you know what I'm thinking? No. Bruichladdich.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Bruichladdich, everything. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. The liquid's never bad. Yeah. Some Octomores are better than others. They're not all made equally. Mm-hmm. Did you see the price of the new 14.3?
No, what is it?
It's close to $400. Wow.
It's, Canadian and Alberta?
Yeah, Canadian, yeah. So, in Alberta. Yeah. It's close to $400.
That's
I really want to try the 14.2. It's got like some Italian heritage to it. It's got the Amarone casks in it. All right. And it's not as horribly priced. It's like $280. Okay. We recently tried the 10.1 Black Art, which is actually perfect for Halloween. Yeah. Because it's, the Black Arts.
Black Arts, yeah.
I think it's excellent.
Yeah, it is.
But
really
it's expensive. Now, that's a 29-year-old. Yeah. So, a limited cask strength 29-year-old might have older stuff in it because it's only 45 point something % at cask strength. Mm-hmm. So, it might have older stuff in it. And it's like fabled to have one of the favorites of the legendary master distiller. Master blender from Bruichladdich. But it's still $800, right? It's 29 years old. Delicious liquid, great nose on it, all that kind of stuff. The liquid is a treat, but the price, man, unless you have that kind of money to throw around, it's a little bit of a trick.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Leave us a comment down below.
Oh, we should mark this.
Yeah, let's do that. Leave us a comment down below what you think is a trick and a treat whiskey Throw it down there, and let's talk about this Tamdhu 18. Yeah, what do you got to say about it?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's, as our boy James would say, so if you're playing the drinking game, drink. It's so crushable.
Yeah, I poured myself a second glass.
It's so crushable. I like looked down and I was done my glass. I'm like, I thought I poured a decent pour in there. Yeah. It's incredibly crushable. It reminds me so much of classic Macallan that I will not be disappointed reaching for this instead of a Macallan at 1/3 the price, if not less than 1/3 the price.
Yep.
Right? Like you can get that on sale $220 in Alberta. I think that's fair.
I think that's a fair price.
That's a fair price. You know what I mean? It's limited, so you won't be able to get it forever. So if you are interested in it, you should go get some.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give this one an 88.
Wow.
I really like it.
Nice. Yep. Yeah. I mean, just drinking through this, it's got this like overlying sweetness. I'm talking like cotton candy, bubble gum. It's got those sherry notes. It's got like this heavy like plums, a little bit of fig. Got a great finish. It definitely like is impactful with a sherried whiskey. If you want a sweet sherry bomb, like this is it. It drinks very, very like elegant as well. It's like it's got everything going on with it.
Yeah, you can pour this into a decanter, and like people would be like, "Wow, that's
an
expensive whiskey."
Yeah, and it's got that chocolate orange note that it shares with Macallan. So like you're spot on with like saying it's reminiscent of that. Mm-hmm. I like it. I would definitely buy it for $220. 89
nice
for me.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's absolutely great.
Yeah.
You know, I could drink this anytime and be super happy.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. What do you think of the bottle design of Tamdhu?
You know what? I've never been a huge fan of it, but I respect it. Like, it's kind of a little too much for me.
It's kind of like that old style, like, I don't know, like speakeasy 1920s kind of vibe to it.
Yes.
Right?
I'm not offended by it.
Yeah.
Like the box is like very Gatsby kind of like gold and right. Like it's really cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm not offended by it. I don't necessarily love it, but I understand what they're going for with it, and I like it.
I don't love it, but I do like how it's unique and different, and I do kind of like how you have a bottle that looks like this on your bar. Compared to everything else.
That being said, I was gonna say, I went to a tasting at the restaurant Highs downtown, and they had this on the bar. So good on them. Actually, their bar is pretty stacked. You should go check it out.
Okay.
But on the bar, it looks so much darker and elegant. I'm like, what Tamdhu is that?
Yeah.
I was so like surprised by it. And he's like, oh, that's the 18. And I was like, what? I have a bottle of that. It doesn't look like that at home. It was just like
it does well in like
bar,
the nice lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Like it looked awesome on the bar.
Nice.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And you can kind of pick it out, right? Because it does look different than other Scotch bottles, which is cool.
Yeah. 46.8%. I like that ABV.
46.8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So leave us a comment down below. What's your trick or treat whiskey? What have you been tricked by? If we've been treated by, let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. And that's it for us. We'll see you guys next time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.